Hello, this is Miss Kaplan, and I'm going to be going over session 1B, which is the calculator portion, and it's 55 minutes. For this video, I will be going over numbers 9 through 11. So for number 9, an absolute value function in the form f of x equals a times the absolute value of x plus b plus c is graphed in the xy coordinate plane where a, b, and c are constants. Graph f of x equals negative absolute value 2x minus 6 plus 1 in the coordinate plane. Plot a point for the vertex of the absolute value function. Then plot 2 rays to complete the graph of the absolute value function. So for this one, I'm going to create a table, and I'm just going to plug in different values for x and see what I can find, and just keep going until I find the vertex and the 2 rays. So I'm going to make a 3-column chart where I'm going to have my x values, my function, and my y value, and then I'm just going to plug in as many values as I can. So I always want to do some negative and some positive values, so I'm going to start with negative 2. So negative absolute value 2 times negative 2 minus 6 plus 1. So I'm going to solve inside the absolute value portion. So negative 2 times 2 is negative 4, and you can use a calculator for this. So if we do negative 2 times 2 equals negative 4, and then negative 4 minus 6 would be negative 10. That's in the absolute value bars. So anytime we have the absolute value of a number, it's the distance from 0. Negative 10 is a distance of 10 from 0. So essentially, it just always turns into the positive of that number. So if I then can write it as negative 10 plus 1. Now I'm writing it as negative 10 because we still have this negative on the outside of the absolute value bars. So even though we got the answer of positive 10, we then need to apply this negative. Negative 10 plus 1 is negative 9. So then I'm going to put an ordered pair at negative 2, negative 9. So you start with the origin, you go left 2, down 9. Okay, now I'm just going to keep going up. So next number would be negative 1, negative absolute value 2 times negative 1 minus 6, absolute value plus 1. All right, going back to the calculator. Two times negative 1 is negative 2. Minus 6 is negative 8. Again, the absolute value of negative 8 is positive 8, but then we still need to apply the negative on the outside of the absolute value bars. Negative 8 plus 1 is negative 7. So I would put a point at negative 1, negative 7. So I go from my origin left 1, down 7. All right, next one is 0. Negative times the absolute value of 2 times 0 minus 6 plus 1. So 2 times 0 is 0. Minus 6 is negative 6. Absolute value of negative 6 is positive 6. Again, we still have to apply that negative on the outside. Negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. 0, -5 is our next point. 0, and then down 5. All right, then I can plug in +1, negative times the absolute value of 2 times 1 minus 6 plus 1. 2 times 1 equals 2, minus 6 equals -4. Absolute value of -4 is +4. -4 plus 1 equals -3. So we put a point at 1, -3. So I go to the origin, right 1, down 3. All right, plug in 2, negative times the absolute value of 2 times 2 minus 6. So once you simplify that, you will get -1. So plot a point at 2, -1. Also, you can see a pattern that's happening. Right now, this is creating a linear line. Even though this is an absolute value function, it's not a linear function, but the one of the rays will be linear to each other. So if you notice the slope, it's going up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. So we don't know where the vertex is, so we have to keep going until we find the vertex. I am running out of space here, but if I were to keep going, if I plug in 3, I would get 3, 1. So I would start at the origin, write 3 up 1, and then I would get 4, -1. So now I'm starting to go back down. So now I can tell that my vertex is this highest point, this maximum point. And then this first ray that we plotted, we were going up to right 1. Well, now we're going to be doing the inverse. We're going to go down to right 1, down to right 1. So once you start seeing that pattern, you can just keep it going. And then we need to connect the points using a straight edge. All right, so going back, making sure we plot a point for the vertex with absolute value. Make sure we label that. So that was 3, 1 for the vertex. And then we also said then plot 2 rays to complete the graph. We have our 2 rays. So our graph is complete. Number 10, use the information provided to answer part A through part D for question 10. Leah would like to earn at least $120 per month. She babysits for $5 per hour and works at an ice cream shop for $8 per hour. Leah cannot work more than a total of 20 hours per month. Let X represent the number of hours Leah babysits, and let Y represent the number of hours Leah works at the ice cream shop. So for this one, we need to set up 2 different inequalities. One that represents the amount of money she's making. So if X is the number of hours she babysits, she's making $5 per hour, so that's 5X. And then she is working at the ice cream shop for $8 per hour, so that's plus 8Y. And she wants to earn at least $120 per month. So the money she's making is 5X plus 8Y, so we want that to be greater than or equal to 120. Then we have to set up an inequality that shows the amount of hours. So X plus Y, and she wants to work, she cannot work more than a total of hours, so a total of 20 hours. So she has to work less than or equal to 20. Now we have our two inequalities. Now we're going to answer part A. Which graph shows the set of points that represents the number of hours that Leah can work in order to earn at least $120 and not work more than $20 per month? So the first step would be to find your x and y intercepts. So in order to do this, we need to plug in when x equals 0 and when y equals 0 and solve it. So I'm just going to set these equations equal to 0. So if we have 5x plus 8y, equal to the value, so instead of using the inequality, equal to 120. And then to find your y-intercept, you need to plug in for x equals 0. So if it's 5 times 0 plus 8y equals 120, 5 times 0 is 0. I'm left with 8y equals 120. Then I need to do the inverse and divide by 8. 120 divided by 8 equals 15. So that means my y-intercept equals 15. So then I can go and look and make sure there's a y-intercept of 15. This line does not have a y-intercept of 15, so I can eliminate that one. Neither does this graph. This graph does right here, and so does this graph. So I know it's C or D. Now let me find the other x-intercept by making sure that one's 20. So then I would plug in for y equals 0. So I'm going to plug it into the other equation. X plus y equals 20, y equals 0, x plus 0 equals 20, x equals 20, and then for that other line, my intercepts are at 20. Here and here, so okay, it's either C or D. Now to check this, because I'm seeing which solution area is shaded correctly, now I can just test points. I can test any ordered pair from this shaded region and plug it into both inequalities, and then I can test any point from this shaded region, and as long as it's true for both inequalities, then that's the solution. So I'm just going to pick 5, 5 here. So I'm going to go back and plug it into these inequalities. So 5 times 5 plus 8 times 5 is greater than or equal to 120. 5 times 5 is 25. 8 times 5 is 40. And then 25 plus 40 is 65. Is 65 greater than or equal to 120? No, that is false. It has to satisfy both inequalities, so C cannot be the correct answer. Just to double check though, we can always pick a point here. Since it's a solid line, you can pick a point on the line, so I'm going to pick 5, 15. Over here I was testing 5, 5. So 5, 15. So 5 times 5 plus 8 times 15 is greater than or equal to 120. 25 plus 120 is greater than or equal to 120, and that's 145 is greater than or equal to 120, so that's true. Double check that it's true for the other inequality. 5 plus 15 is less than or equal to 20. 20 is less than or equal to 20, so they are both true, so the answer is letter D. All right, part B on the next page. Which pairs X, Y represent the hours that Leah could work to meet the given conditions? Select all that apply. So again, I just have to plug these into both inequalities and check that they work. So just to rewrite them up here, we have 5x plus 8y is greater than or equal to 120. X plus y is less than or equal to 20. Oops. All right. Remember, x is your first number, so x equals 4, y equals 15. So 5 times 4 plus 8 times 15 greater than or equal to 120. 5 times 4 is 20. Plus 8 times 15 is 120. And before I even add those together, I know that 20 plus 120 is going to be greater than or equal to 120. So that's true. So I'm just going to put a check mark. Then I need to plug it into the other inequality. X plus y is less than or equal to 20. So 4 plus 15 is less than or equal to 20. And 4 plus 15 is 19. So 19 is less than or equal to 20. So A would satisfy both conditions. Then we can plug in B. 5 times 5 plus 8 times 12 is greater than or equal to 120. Once we solve those, we would get 121 is greater than or equal to 120, so that checks out. Then we would do 5 plus 12 is less than or equal to 20. 5 plus 12 is 17, which is less than or equal to 20, so B also satisfies those conditions. Letter C, x equals 10, y equals 9. 5 times 10 plus 8 times 9 is greater than or equal to 120. Once we solve that out, we would get 50 plus 72 greater than or equal to 120. 50 plus 72 would be 122, which is greater than or equal to 120. And then 10 plus 9 is less than or equal to 20, so those both check out. 15 and 5, 5 times 15 plus 8 times 5 is greater than or equal to 120. Once we solve these out, we would get 115 is greater than or equal to 120. That is not true, so D is not a correct answer. E, 19 for x, y equals 1, so 5 times 19 plus 8 times 1 has to be greater than or equal to 120. We get 95 plus 8, which we know is not going to be greater than or equal to 120, so that does not satisfy both conditions. So our answers are A, B, and C. Part C, if Leah babysits for 7 hours this month, what is the minimum number of hours she would have to work at the ice cream shop to earn at least $120? So this is asking about the amount of money, so we're going to use the inequality for the money she's making. 5x plus 8y is greater than or equal to 120. And it's giving us 7 hours, which is our x value, so we're going to plug that in for x equals 7. So I'm going to write 5 times 7 plus 8y is greater than or equal to 120. And then I want to solve for y. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 8y is greater than or equal to 120. Then I need to get y isolated or by itself. So I first need to look for the constant on the same side as y, which is 35, and I need to do the inverse, subtract 35 from both sides. 8y is greater than or equal to 120 minus 35 is 85. Then I need to look at my variable y. This right now it's 8 times y, so the inverse is divide by 8. 85 divided by 8, remember you can use your calculator on this portion. Oh, I'm in fraction mode, so sometimes you need to go back and forth. So I would go to mode, go down to answers, and put enter on auto. Now I can go back. 85 divided by 8 equals 10 and 625 thousandths. So y is greater than or equal to 10.625. Now, when you're working for a job, you have to work an exact number of hours to get paid. So in order to make at least 120, we would have to round up. So y would approximately equal 11 hours. So we would put 11 hours. All right, part D. Leah prefers babysitting over working at the ice cream shop. Out of 20 total hours, what is the maximum number of hours she can babysit to be able to earn at least $120 per month? So this one wants us to find the maximum number of hours she can babysit, so we need to solve for x. So this means we would need to find the solution to both functions or inequalities. So for this, again, I would set them both equal to 20. So I'm going to take both these and set them equal. So I'm going to have 5x plus 8y equals 120, and x plus y equals 20. And to solve two systems, we can use substitution or elimination or graphing. Since I don't have a graph, and right now I'm kind of noticing that I could use elimination. So since I have x plus y equals 20, I need to eliminate one of my variables. So I'm going to multiply this entire equation by -8, because if I have positive 8y here, to eliminate it, I need to make this one a negative 8y. So I know that I need to multiply it by -8. So I'm going to rewrite this equation, 5x plus 8y equals 120. And then I'm going to multiply everything by -8. So I'm going to get -8x, not plus, it would be -8y, so plus -8y equals, and then 20 times -8 is -160. Then I'm going to add both of these equations together. 8y plus -8y eliminates. I'm left with 5x minus 8x, which is -3x, equals, and then 120 minus 160 is -40. Now I have to solve for x. So if it's -3 times x, the inverse is divide -3. I have to do that to both sides. X equals, and then -40 divided by -3 would be 13.333, or 13 1/3. So I'm going to put 13.3 with the line over it to show repeating. So for this one, I need to check if I need to round up or down. Can I do 13 hours, or does she need to round up to 14 hours? So to check this, we can go back and plug it into the inequality just to make sure it's more than $120 per month. So what I would do is, let's try 13. 5 times 13, and then she can only work a max of 20 hours, so let's plug in 7. Because it says what is the maximum number of hours, so the max hours left over would be 7, because 13 plus 7 is 20. Greater than or equal to 120. 5 times 13 is 65. 8 times 7 is 56. 65 plus 56 is 121. So that is greater than 120, so she can work at least 13 hours. This video is going a little longer than I anticipated, so I'm going to stop right here. So I will actually do number 11 in the next video. Thank you for your time.